And that's a great place to start, really, when people say, what is mindfulness? And in essence, mindfulness is simply a state of being that all humans experience to some degree throughout the day. And it helps to think of it on a continuum between mindlessness on one end of the scale and mindfulness at the other end of the scale. Now, mindlessness, you and I would know better as autopilot. So autopilot is another state of being that humans experience quite often. And this is a state of being where we are doing something, usually can be something quite complex, like driving, for example, but the mind isn't fully engaged with it. It's got a chance to wander away and worry about other things. And I'm sure you will agree that we spend some time, maybe a lot of time in that state. But the other end of the scale then is mindfulness, which is a state of being where we are fully engaged with what we're doing in the moment, with how we feel, with the experience of it. We're not worrying about the past. We're not worrying about the future. We're just dealing with now. Thank you very much. And mindfulness is very good for helping us to navigate difficulties of now, but it's also very good for helping us to engage in the positives of now. So if, for example, we cultivate a mindful state, just because we're mindful, just because we're aware in the moment, doesn't mean it's necessarily a good moment. But if it's not a good moment, at least we're in it. We've got the awareness of it to try to make some positive changes. So, for example, if you find yourself doing an assignment and you notice that you're procrastinating, you're thinking about anything else but doing it, there's temptations to go and do other things rather than crack on with the assignment, then you might notice that with the mindful state. And then you might be able to do some of the techniques we'll look at today to try to just ground you in now and just do the next thing you need to do with the assignment. Take some small steps. But of course, what often happens is that we're procrastinating and the mind is on the autopilot end of the spectrum. And therefore, we're not even aware. We can't put any techniques into play because we're on autopilot. And before we know it, another hour's gone and we've not done anything towards the assignment. So awareness itself is neither good nor bad. The situation we're in will be very different all the time. But once we've got the awareness of mindfulness, we can actually do something about it. And if you become mindful and you notice it's just a really good moment, you're comfortable, you're happy, you're content, whatever's going on around you is positive, then actually the awareness of that allows us to accept that good moment, to enjoy it, to engage with it, and to try not to let any negative thoughts invade that space. And the techniques we're going to do today will try to do all of that I've just said there. How do we notice now? How do we bring positive change? But also, how do we let the positive that's already there be and let it grow? So that's what mindfulness is in essence. And then you come to the word mindfulness, of course, which has ancient links to Buddhism. But actually the concept of mindfulness, which is really just techniques that we know about that help us to be in the mindful state rather than the autopilot state. That's all that mindfulness is. Those techniques were around before Buddhism, but of course, Buddhism used the word mindfulness. And the founder of what's called modern mindfulness, or the field of mindfulness, mindfulness with a capital M, if you like, John Kabat-Zinn, he went around the world studying different groups. And one of the groups he studied were Buddhist monks in particular, who practiced their version of mindfulness using meditations. And John Kabat-Zinn was a doctor, so he brought together all of his different knowledge from these different groups he studied, from biology, from psychology, from Western science, and kind of put them together into what you and I now know of as mindfulness. Within that, of course, you still have parts of it which are more spiritual in nature, which are more Buddhist, which are more meditative. And if you like those, then I invite you to explore those more. But also we have parts of mindfulness that are more what we call in the moment. So you don't need to do meditations if you didn't want to. We've got short, more psychological techniques that we can use out there in everyday life that just help us to come to the mindful state as well.